the same thing that when I see not all black Republicans, but I see a black MAGA person who is carrying Donald Trump's water and they know that he's lying. It is the shortest line to the front. Because if you're black and you're whatever, you're just in line with a bunch of other Democrats that are doing the same thing that you're doing. But if you become a black MAGA person, it's like, whoa, let's book this person, let's put him on television.
So you don't think you can be a sincere black MAGA person?
No, I just said, I don't think that. I just said I think there can be sincere Republicans,
but you can't be a sincere black Republican.
I don't think that you can. I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA, be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
I think they would find that very insulting.
Well, I mean, the truth is often insulting.
So, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about? I know we don't try to put too much credence to what people like Don Lemon have to say, but the reason why I play that is because that sentiment is out there when it comes to black men in particular supporting Donald Trump and supporting the Republican Party. That you're sellouts, that you're out here grifting, trying to make some money because you are not the most represented on that side of the fence, if you will. So a lot of people like to say that about folks who are now Republicans, especially over the last 4 to 8 years that have come on board with Trump and his agenda and those kind of things. So what are your initial thoughts to that? What are some of the things, have you encountered some of those type of sentiments towards you?
Oh, of course. Oh, of course. Yeah. I've been called, sellout, Uncle Tom, all the good stuff. People who know who Uncle Tom is, it's not really an insult. Okay, I get what you're getting at. If for Don Lemon, if we can just do some math on that, we're not the most represented in this party. Let's do some math. I think we make up about 13% of the general population. Then 80 to 90% of us vote Democrat. So what does that leave for the Republican Party for us to be involved in? Not a great number. So yeah, I mean, just from a numbers perspective, the odds for us being represented is minimal. It is. And in the Democrat Party, of course, you're going to see more because they prop you up there because you're a victim. They want you to be out front. And look how good we are. It's not even genuine. But to him, I would say, have a conversation with one of us. Sit down and have a lengthy, genuine conversation. Let's come to an understanding. God, in the Word of God, He said, "Come reason." This is God. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. When He says, "Come reason with me," God's already right. He knows He's right. There's nothing you can say that's going to convince Him otherwise. But He's inviting you to come reason with Him. Let's talk this thing through, man. I invite Don Lemon to come talk to any real Christian with the biblical worldview. But I'm sure he will come away either as not headed and stubborn as he is now, or convinced to think otherwise. Right. I mean, we're not in this. Why would I put myself in a position to be hated? And likely, I was in a church that was predominantly black. Why would I put myself in a position to be disliked by the people I go to church with every Sunday? Right. It's not because I wanted that, for sure. It's because I read my Bible and I'm looking at what's going on. I'm like, this doesn't line up with that. You're telling me here in church there's more than conquerors. And you're also telling me big. Jesus said, go preach to all the nations, which biblically speaking also means racist, to all the nations. And yet you're only targeting the black communities when you're going to evangelize. You're only targeting black communities for help. And we're victims. So how does that affect witnessing to that white brother? He needs to go to heaven too, right? If I'm not mistaken, it says so in the Bible. If all he sees you doing is targeting black people, when you have an opportunity to witness to him, how does that make him feel? Yeah. You don't think about those things. But back to I'm going down a rabbit hole there. I apologize. We're talking about Don Lemon. But it's, man, he is so petty. I think, honestly, I think Don Lemon knows better, but he's the grifter he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Although I don't agree with his lifestyle, if you listen to that man in the past and where he is now, he made some bad choices about his lifestyle. Yes, he has. Don Lemon is not an exclusive guy. He has chosen to act ignorant, is what he's doing. He knows it's the same truth. Yeah. I mean, basic study, man, the Republican Party was founded by Christian abolitionists. And some of those Christians were black. Who were the first people involved in American government? They were black people who were Republicans, not Democrats. Right. It was the Democrats who formed the KKK to suppress voters, white voters who voted Republican, especially black people who tried to vote. It was them who did it. It was some basic history. And when you talk about this whole party switch thing, man, there's a great clip of Dr. Carol Swain on PragerU. She breaks it down. That is such a myth. And it's not even a believable myth. If you really do study, it's not even. So to Don Lemon, I would say, whatever. whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't even know if I'd take the time. I would take the time to sit and talk with him. But if he's not trying to have a genuine discussion, I see your game, man. I see what you're doing.
I want to talk for a moment about what's going on in the economy and all the economic uncertainty that we're seeing. We know what's going on with the tariffs. We know what's going on with the increase in prices. We know what's going on when it comes to the threat of economic and trade wars and those kind of things with China, with Canada, with Mexico. But have you thought about how that affects you on a personal level, how it affects your retirement? If you have your money in 401ks and IRAs and those kinds of things, you know that the stock market has been topsy-turvy lately. But did you know that gold and precious metals such as silver have been kind of a buffer, a hedge against inflation, against the falling value of the dollar? I mean, I've heard stories about how other countries want to get away from the dollar. And so in those times of economic uncertainty in the past, a lot of people have relied upon gold, have relied upon silver, have relied upon precious metals to protect them, to protect the wealth that God has given us. And I believe as stewards that God has made us stewards over everything that he's given to us, that is important for us to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. So if you want a free resource that talks about how you can incorporate gold and silver into an IRA, into your portfolio, click the link below or click the link that's in the description. Yeah, they are the real.
Pick up basketball.
Yeah. You see your game. You see where you're coming from, man. I see your direction. I see what you're trying to do. I see your agenda. And to me, they are the real grifters, because people like Don Lemon, and I kind of call them like the Black Triumvirate. How you got the church plant pastors, the Black civic organizations, you got the media people, the entertainers, the athletes, and the politicians, and those folks. I mean, those are the ones that are really conspiring to keep the Black community in the permanent state of victimhood, because it benefits them. They love to say stuff, but they're really telling on themselves, because he's in a privileged position. He's in that privileged position that people run to when they got questions about the Black community. Same with Al Sharpton, same with Benjamin Crump, the same people they trot out there whenever they want to get the Black perspective. And so those are the people that are the privileged. And so therefore they don't want to lose their perch. They don't want to lose their position of privilege as being the spokespeople for Black folks. So that's why they tell everybody else, no, you cannot make it. You are a victim. You are oppressed. While they're out here jet setting to everywhere they're going, but they tell you that you can't make it, because they know if they open it up to everybody, if everybody's eyes are open to what's really going on, then they lose their position, they lose their perch. And so therefore they want to make sure and do whatever they can to keep that position. And Don Lemon really qualifies based upon his lifestyle. He checks off a lot of those intersectionality boxes, which they really like, because they want to emasculate Black men too. They want to make all Black men feminine and let me stop, right? Paint your nails and walk around with a merce and all kind of crazy stuff that we've seen lately, man. So it's a lot, but that's so true, and I think it's important. And I was so pleasantly not surprised, but kind of pleased with this past election. And one of the things I told people was that when Trump got about 20% of the Black male vote, and I was telling people here in North Carolina, because we had a huge gubernatorial race with Mark Robinson, and he was running, but he was a Black man. And I told people, look, folks that are going to vote for Trump are not going to vote for the Republican Party, because a lot of people have been so misinformed about the history of the Republican Party that they think it is a party of racists, a party of the KKK, party of Jim Crow, when it was the complete opposite. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of rehabilitating the image of the Republican Party in the minds of Black people, because the Democratic Party has done a great job. The propaganda machine has done a great job of convincing people in the Black community that the Republican Party is anathema, that they are, a bunch of racists and they don't care about you. And so it's good to see some people break through. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think what you mentioned before about the history of the Republican Party is important for people that want to vote that way, because I believe the problem that we have in the Black community, and I hear Bishop Wooden say this often as well, is that people you got one party that doesn't have to compete for your vote. They don't have to do anything. They come to your church. They come to your cookout. They come to your fish fry every 2 to 4 years, give you promises they're not going to fulfill. And then the other party, unfortunately, has been anemic in their efforts to reach out to you as well. And so a lot of people just either don't vote or they end up voting because their mama told them. And one of the saddest things is if you're black, you vote Democrat. That's one of the saddest things that we've seen as well. And so I think the work that is being done to kind of open up the eyes, and I think people our age and younger are starting to see that. They're starting to see that, you know, the community by and large has been doing the same thing for 60 years. And that's the definition of insanity. Nothing has changed. And so
Right.
how about we try something else on for size? And getting back to my point about the Republican Party, I told people Trump would get a lot of the black vote, but people down ballot would not because of that negative image, that taste that the Republican Party has in the black community.